Well, I'd like to reconvene the regularly scheduled board meeting in the Desert Sands Unified School District, November 17th at 7:07. We're just returning from closed session. And we will begin, and, oh, I'm sorry. You can do the Natalie thing, absolutely. And we have a student board member here tonight. Welcome, Natalie. And did you want to swear in first, or do the pledge first? Pledge first. Please stand. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And in honor of Veterans Day, Ms. Anna Cornover will lead us tonight.
Ready? Begin. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let the roll call indicate that all members of the board are either present here in person or with us through telecommunications, as they have been during our closed session as well. And we can begin tonight with the Summit High School Student Board Member Oath of Office administered by Superintendent Scott Bailey.
Fantastic. It's a great evening when we get to swear in a new student board member. So tonight we'll be swearing in our newest board member, Natalie Diaz, currently a senior at Summit High School. First, let's get to know Natalie. Natalie has attended Carter Elementary, Palm Desert Charter Middle School, Palm Desert High School, and Summit High School. She describes the highlights of her educational experience in Desert Sands as fun and educational. She has had many friends and fun experiences with them while growing up, both in and out of school. Natalie enjoys singing, playing piano, spending time with friends, cooking, watching anime, photography, drawing, and painting, as well as playing with her pets. She has been involved in leadership experiences, including Cadet Corps, where she reached the rank of sergeant at Palm Desert High School. And she currently serves as ASB president for the class of 2021 at Summit High School. Her volunteer experience includes fundraisers, military events, parades, and donations. When asked if there were any interesting facts or fun facts about herself, she states the following. First, she is the only one in her family not born on a holiday. Second, she is the lead singer for the band Desert Nomads. 3, she has never broken a bone. And 4, penguins are her favorite animal. Welcome, Natalie Diaz. Natalie, if you'll join me down front, we'll do the swearing in officially.
I'll begin with the approval of the minutes of the special meeting of September 30th, 2020. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
By Mr. Griffith. Is there a second? By Ms. Conover. Any discussion? call for the question. This was just a board member vote since Natalie was not here for that meeting. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 7.2, looking for an approval for the minutes of the regular meeting of October 6th, 2020. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
On over, is there a second?
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
Too late, Wendy. Natalie got it. Any discussion? Call for the question. Preferential vote. Right. Board vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 20th, 2020?
So moved. Wendy Jonathan.
All right, Wendy Jonathan, is there a second?
Linda Porras, second.
Moved by Linda Porras. In discussion? Call for the question. Preferential vote. You can vote on this one. Board vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Board meeting addenda. Mr. Bailey, is there anything to add tonight?
No change.
No changes? With that, is there a motion to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of November 17th, 2020? By Ms. Conover?
So moved.
Second?
That's okay.
By Nellie. Any discussion? Call for the question. Preferential vote? Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bailey, is there community staff student recognition for tonight?
There sure is. We have quite a few recognitions this evening. As is typical, I invite Mrs. Mary Perry, our Public Information Officer, to the podium. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you very much. And yes, there are quite a few this evening. And as you know, we encourage those being recognized to watch the proceedings at home on their television rather than come in. So most of them will not be here this evening. I'd like to begin by recognizing two Palm Desert High School students. The pair have been identified as College Board National Recognition Program scholars because they scored in the top 2.5% of the PSAT NMSQT test takers in 2019, and they identify as Hispanic American students. Brittany Baez is the child of Mexican immigrants. She is an award winner as a participant in the Aztec Marching Band and Wind Ensemble. She's on varsity track and field varsity, and on the field, I think that's field hockey team. And Brittany already has plans on earning a PhD in chemical engineering. So good luck to Brittany. We're so proud of you. Gavin Morrow is a varsity team member for the Aztec soccer team. He's involved in many community service projects, and he plans on majoring, Mr. Tomac will love this, in aerospace engineering and minoring in business. So congratulations, Gavin. The next recognition this evening is one that you would have to probably live in a hole if you didn't know that this was going on. And that's because our own, and actually I need to change math. Give me a minute. Okay, I have my Johnson mask on. Because Johnson Elementary School third grade teacher, Allison Sear, has been named a California Teacher of the Year. So I think we've been shouting it from the rooftops, so I'm sure you know. She is a graduate of DSUSD schools, and she used her own childhood academic challenges to become a teacher well worthy of this recognition. She's a dedicated teacher, and she's a philanthropist dedicated to community service. Tomorrow evening, she'll be receiving a proclamation from the City of Indio at the Indio City Council meeting at 5 p.m. Check it out on their Facebook page. Allison, please come up.
Thank you. Could I say something? Okay. I'll keep this brief, but who would have thought that as I walked into my first day of kindergarten 25 years ago at Gerald Ford Elementary School, that I would be standing in front of you today as our California Teacher of the Year. I want to thank you for the opportunity to represent Desert Sands, as it is truly an honor. I know I am just one piece of a big puzzle. So thank you to everyone in every aspect that makes this a possibility.
Yes, I've been teasing Allison and saying that I feel like my job lately is to be the publicist for Allison Sear, so it's been kind of great. The next recognition is for 2 DSUSD family members who've been named finalists as Educator of the Year for the California League of High Schools in Region 10. Palm Desert High School Principal Dennis Zink and Crystal Hollenbeck, an Indio High School special education and English teacher. I think we all know Dennis joined us in December of 2017, and Crystal began her work at DSUSD as a guest teacher. She then taught at Glen Middle, and she's been at Indio High for the past 9 years. On December 1st, there'll be a virtual event, and each finalist will give a short speech of no more than 3 minutes, and then the speeches will be scored by a panel of judges, and 1 regional finalist will move on to the conference. So I'm pretty confident that we'll find a winner. So congratulations to Dennis and Crystal. The next one, we're going to show some pictures up on the screen. The 5th annual Sunlight Transit Agency Student Art Contest was announced in May, and we had a number of students who submitted artwork. We also have 4 of them who were finalists. So Violet Mole of John Glenn Middle School, and I think Sean's going to put those pictures up, right, Sean? Yep. So what they did is they designed a piece of art for the side of the bus, and those who were the finalists but not the winner, their artwork is actually at various bus stops around the valley. So as you drive around, look, and you'll see their artwork. But our finalists were Violet Mole of John Glenn, James Bradford of Carrillo Ranch, Evelyn Reyes of Ronald Reagan, and the winner of the entire competition was Jasmine Kalugov, who at the time was a student at Amelia Earhart Elementary School, and she's now a student at John Glenn. So I'm going to keep going, and when the pictures are up, you'll be able to see them. I also want to call out Sue Ann Block, who's the manager of the DSUSD Educationally Related Mental Health Services Counselors and Therapists. And there's the artwork, so you can see that as I keep going. And you probably remember Sue Ann last year. She came to a board meeting with her therapy dog, Butters. So remember Butters? Butters was with her mom, Sue Ann. Sue Ann is the very first person in the nation to be recognized this year for the Possibilities in Action program. And the program recognizes those who seek to emphasize supporting the needs of the whole child in furthering positive school outcomes. So I know you join me. We're all so proud of Sue Ann. So Sue Ann, I know you're watching. Congratulations. All right, next. So you can see this is, that was Jasmine. So we're on to this now, where 14 DSUSD schools recently participated in a rebate program following the updating of their irrigation systems. 3 of the schools took it to the next level and participated in a turf conversion program. And 2 of those sites have been recognized for the beauty of their desert landscape with Yard of the Month, do you like how I said that? Yard, not Yard, of the Month awards from the General Federation Women's Club of Indio, the City of Indio, and the Indio Water Authority. So congratulations to John F. Kennedy Elementary School for being named the November Indio Yard of the Month, and to Eisenhower Community Learning Center, the December Yard of the Month. And you can see the before and after pictures. Okay, I'm not done. Next award recipient has been Principal Brad Fisher of Lyndon Johnson Elementary School I think he wanted to follow in Allison's footsteps and be recognized. So I know Brad's watching. This award is presented to an administrator who has demonstrated strong support for the belief that all students can excel academically, for his exceptional leadership in finding ways that technology benefits teaching and learning, a commitment to educational quality, student achievement, and commitment to professional growth and creativity, and innovation in building a learning environment that promotes ongoing risk-taking and exploration. So Principal Brad Fisher has been named the Q Administrator of the Year.
Wow.
Our next honoree is Principal Elizabeth Hartman of Indio Middle School. And she's the finalist for the Educator of the Year Award from the California League of Middle Schools. There are almost 1,300 public middle schools in California and only 30 finalists for this amazing honor. So Lizzie will be sending a 2 to 3 minute video of a speech on her educational beliefs and values for consideration as the California Educator of the Year. And that announcement will come in March. And I know Lizzie's watching. So Lizzie and I graduated from the same university. So Lizzie, go Flyers. And finally, if you'll just give me a moment, I'd like to speak on behalf of Sean Webb, our Director of Community Engagement, and the Foundation. So 2 things. As you know, he isn't here because he's producing the Spanish version of this meeting as well as the ASL version. So he asked me to tell you that on Friday, he received a $10,000 grant from the Inland Empire Community Foundation for band-related personal protection. Now you may say, what is that? Well, it's microphone covers and something really lovely called a spit guard for our wind instruments, because as the kids use the wind instrument, moisture comes out. He also asked me to remind you that December 6th through the 12th is CamFest. This will be our 4th year holding CamFest. Each day for 7 days, we will feature one of our arts, whether it's dancing, music, theater, for a 15-minute video on our YouTube channel. Look for more information to come. It'll be at 6 o'clock each of those evenings. So that's it. I really am finished. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, Mary Perry.
Mr. Bailey, introduction of new or recently promoted employees.
I'll defer to Dr. Salazar to recognize our new psychologist.
Yes, we have a new school psychologist joining our management team. I'm happy to introduce him to you tonight. Mr. Philip Gastelum, you want to step forward? And I'll tell them a little bit about you. Mr. Gastelum was born in Redlands, California, and he obtained his bachelor's degree in psychology from UC Davis and his master's degree in school psychology from Azusa Pacific University. And prior to coming to work for Desert Sands, he worked at San Jacinto Unified School District as a psychologist, serving students from pre-K through grade 12. And he particularly enjoys building collaborative relationships with his IEP team members in order to provide an outstanding level of service to parents and students. And Mr. Gastelum, we're very happy to have you at Desert Sands, and thanks for joining our family. If you'd like to make a few comments to the board, you may do so.
Just thank you for the opportunity. It is an honor to work in this great district, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Welcome.
So, welcome to Desert Sands. The information, I think, is listed on the Head Start program report for September 2020, and no staff conference items, no public hearings tonight, but we do have a discussion of COVID-19 response update.
Thank you, Mr. Tomac. This is a standing item to provide an update to the board and to the public regarding anything related to school reopenings and COVID. Unfortunately, we received the news yesterday that our numbers are going in the wrong direction. I'm pretty confident that everyone's heard Governor Newsom's update that there's an uptick in COVID cases across the state of California. Certainly, again, not the news we were hoping for. Specifically, many counties have been moved back to Tier 1, purple status, and the elementary waiver application process was suspended in many counties, including Riverside. Specifically, 41 of California's 58 counties are presently in Tier 1 purple. Riverside County is now reporting 22.4 cases per 100,000. That's up from last week's number of 13.9 cases per 100,000. Because COVID-related information is constantly evolving, as we know, it's actually going to be coming to us more frequently now, per the governor's announcement. We've instituted through our public information officer and our social media specialist a window frame on our website that just gives you brief updates. For example, there was an update which Dr. Vollmer will speak to regarding CIF that just came in. So that's on there also, and you can click to find more information. So as we get the updates, we share those with the public. You look on the frame home website under Super Seconds. With that said, I will defer to Dr. Vollmer for any updates regarding educational services.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. I do have about 5 updates this evening related to COVID. The first one is revolving around our Smarter Balance assessments. On November 5th, the State Board of Education approved the short form of the Smarter Balance Summative Assessment for English Language Arts and for Mathematics, which would shorten the computer adaptive portion of the test by about 50%. The Smarter Balance Assessment is part of the California Assessment of Student Progress and Performance. As you know, we refer to it that as CASP. And that's a suite of assessments that are administered to our 3rd through 8th grade and our 11th grade students. Both the English Language Arts and Mathematics exams will now be roughly half of the items that were previously included on the computer adaptive part of the assessment, while the performance tasks will remain unchanged. The update is estimated to reduce the administration time of the assessment by about 45 to 60 minutes, depending on the subject and the grade level, making the total estimated administration time of both the language arts and the math assessments to be about 4.5 to 5 hours each, depending on the grade level, and that's not all done in one setting. That's typically broken up, even in times when we're face-to-face. So that's an update on the shorter form that the state has moved to, indicating that we will be administering the Smarter Balance this year, even though we are in the midst of COVID-19. I also wanted to provide the board with an update regarding intervention for our high school students. Plans are currently being made for voluntary small group intervention for our high school students, and this is voluntary for staff and for students. And the students and the staff will be in those solid cohorts that don't intermix with one another, following all of the small group guidance that we've previously discussed, and I know Mrs. Fisher will talk more about that in a little bit. As Mr. Bailey mentioned, we also have somewhat of an update on athletics. As you know, our athletics teams at our 4 comprehensive high schools have started conditioning in those small group cohorts. However, yesterday, the governor and the California Department of Public Health announced that the release of the updated youth sports guidance document has been postponed. So therefore, the current guidance remains in effect. However, CIF competitions are not allowed until the new guidance is delivered, and we don't have an estimated date on that at this time. I also wanted to provide just a brief update on technology. You can imagine being in a purely distance environment, not just in Desert Sands, but all over the nation and all over the world, really. The demand for technology is overwhelming. And so there are so many things on back order as it refers to technology. Thankfully, in Desert Sands, we started the year with enough inventory that those back orders didn't impact our ability to provide students with devices. We were able to do that for all students that needed them. But we're finally seeing the devices that we had ordered for this year start to roll in, so that's exciting that they're rolling in, and we'll continue to restock our inventories at our sites. We also, because of these back orders, have already proactively notified our vendors our needs for the 21-22 school year, so we don't find ourselves in any sort of bind as we move in that direction. And then lastly, I wanted to provide an update on the online registration that took place recently, and I wanted to thank very much the parents for responding. We're very aware that there are lots of questions that really do depend on how many students would be in each environment. And we know that you want those answers, that parents want those answers. And so certainly having the numbers now, we can make the plans that we need to make so that we can provide those answers to the community. But after the close of registration, I wanted to update the board that 35% of our students opted to remain in a distance learning environment for the remainder of the school year. And that concludes my updates.
Thank you for that. And I'll move on. I see Dr. Salazar back there just waiting to approach the mic. Dr. Salazar, updates from Personnel Services, please.
And I have two items that I wish to share with you tonight. The first one is that the district has reached agreement with both employee associations, classified and certificated, regarding the effects of the hybrid instructional model, as well as health and safety issues related to the return of small cohorts of our high-need students for in-person instruction. And those MOUs are both on the agenda tonight for approval by the board. Also, personnel is now working with educational services, and we're coordinating our efforts to support the school sites with the staffing and course adjustments based on the number of students who have indicated that they want to remain in distance learning for the rest of the school year. We're meeting individually with each principal to formulate site-specific plans, and we're doing that this week and maybe right after we get back also from the Thanksgiving break.
Thank you. Mr. Aquino, Business Services, please.
Point of order, maybe we could request the people that are calling in to mute their mics. That would be great. Thank you.
Good evening. Good government demands the intelligent interest of every citizen. We have 4 vacant positions on our Measure KK Bond Oversight Committee. If you are interested in applying, we will be publishing a notice of the vacancies in the paper for those of you to apply within the next week or so. The notice will run about 2 to 3 weeks, over the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you are interested in serving the community, we would love to receive your application. This committee meets approximately 2 to 3 times each year, so that's my pitch so we get some applicants. COVID-19, our update for air filtration. So far, we've completed the installation of approximately 1/3 of buildings in the district with MERV 13 filters, and that is to help improve indoor air quality. We also have in our district warehouse a large amount of HEPA filters to go in over 1,100 of our district classrooms. We will be making deliveries of the HEPA filters to our schools over the next month. In addition, we have ordered over 2,400 UL 2998 standard certified, which is an environmental claim validation procedure for zero emissions, ozone emissions from air cleaners. These are bipolar ionization air filters that we will be installing on every HVAC unit in the district. Water bottle filling stations. To encourage the use of reusable water bottles, as mentioned in the California Department of Public Health schools COVID-19 industry guidance, we have installed at approximately 50% of our schools with water bottle filling stations. Our goal is to outfit the schools with 4 each. Some of the locations that we've identified require us to run electrical lines, so we've put out to bid to get that work done, which we awarded earlier this month. And so that is our, as far as not having students access the water fountain in the traditional manner. Meal distribution at our school sites, we are continuing to plan for that. We've been working with our principals to support what that would look like under the hybrid setting. Also, to help support the effort for social distancing requirements, we are going to be placing an order for additional seating at the schools. So ultimately, the additional seating is going to help us support the distancing requirements that are required for when students are consuming meals on campuses. But it is also a way for us to address some of the needs at our schools with the tables that aren't in the best condition, that we can address that by adjust those that need replacement in the future. So we're trying to maximize the use as much as we can with some of our CARES fundings that we received, which has a deadline by December 30th. That's my update.
Thank you. And there you have the updates.
Okay,
Oh, sorry, I missed Laura Fisher. My bad.
That's okay. All right. Last week was our opening week of our first small group in-person instruction. As Dr. Vollmer was talking, we have plans for other groups. And as we've discussed before, Governor Newsom put out the guidance at the end of August for the small group in-person instruction for students with acute needs. And as the district determined the first group to be our students with moderate to severe disabilities. So it was an exciting week last week. Superintendent Bailey and I did site visits to all our sites. We had 14 classes that started last week of our moderate to severe students, teachers and paraeducators. It was from preschool to our adult transition program at Adams, Johnson, John Glenn, DRA, Palm Desert High School, and our adult transition program that's housed at Eisenhower. So in all our site visits, Mr. Bailey and I were met with smiling faces of students and teachers and paraeducators and principals who were so delighted to be back in the classroom, even though it looked a little different with all the PPE and the plexiglass shields and all the health and safety guidelines that were required. Even though with that difference, it was an amazing sight to see, and it truly took the teamwork of all staff, certificated, classified, administration to make it happen. So we're excited to see other groups coming in to be able to meet the acute needs of our students. Next, I just wanted to remind, I know I talked about it last meeting, as far as the face coverings and how the district has changed the requirements for 3-year-old through high school to have face coverings on, whether it be a mask or a shield with a mask or a face shield with a drape. That's what's been approved by both the state and county public health. So we are looking at that for both students and staff must have the face coverings on at all times unless they're eating or drinking, and there are exemptions that we discussed for staff with verified medical conditions or students under the age of 2 that have a mental health or disability that would impede them from wearing or handling a face covering, or when it would inhibit communication with our persons who are hearing impaired. So as a reminder for the face coverings, when we do have students come back, that is going to be a requirement. Our district moving forward plan, as we developed in July, and as Mr. Bailey was talking about, things continue to change, and we're updating that, and that should be out very soon. And we've updated the guidance, including the PPE, the face coverings, the health and safety measures, as Mr. Aquino was discussing, with the air filtration, disinfecting the classrooms, the very important health screenings that will need to be done prior to sending children to school, and then all staff should be doing currently before they're coming to work, and their surveillance testing that will be started now with staff that are providing the small group, and we will continue to be doing that per the guidance from the state that every staff member will be tested every 2 months. So 25% of the staff every 2 weeks. And lastly, please continue to reach out if you have a student that you're concerned about, your own child that's having some social and emotional issues. This is such a hard time. As Mr. Bailey was talking about, the numbers unfortunately are going the wrong way. And it's difficult and it's challenging for both adults and children. And we have our staff at the district that has been addressing and meeting the needs of the referrals coming in. Please contact your school sites, your site counselor, the district office. Our social emotional wellness page that's on our website has resources and contacts. Look for your school and see who those people are and their numbers there for any issues that may be going on with your students. And again, as Mr. Bailey shared the rates, as I always say at the end, let's all do our part. Wear the face coverings, keep the social distance, keeping your hands washed to be able to do our part in this, and then also get that flu shot. Thank you.
All right, now we are finished. All 4 cabinet members, thank you.
Move on to public comment on open session items, and with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Thomas.
I'll be reading the online public comments first. Okay. This is from Catherine Corson. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to read this. As of last month, the moving forward plan was approved. However, it was still not made clear and quite honestly gaslighted what would happen to the students that would remain on distance learning. I understand we'll be maintaining our school affiliation with our home school. However, it was not made clear that we will still be facilitated outside of our main school. I know this is all a numbers game, and it is dependent upon how many students, teachers choose to stay distant and how many choose hybrid. However, my question to you now is this. Will my children still be getting their IB education? Will they still be getting their principal's morning messages? Will they be maintaining their PE, Spanish, music, and counseling, teachers, courses, or even the programs that are implemented through our specific school? I have 3 children in elementary school, and my oldest daughter is in 5th grade and part of the ASB. And I am also a very active member of our school, being a member of the school PTO and vice president of the SSC. What happens to our roles if we are now being facilitated outside of our home school? These may seem like minor details to your big picture, but these are important to our students' education. Can someone please give us some clarification as to what will happen to these classes? These are all very important items, although may seem petty when you look at the big picture, but please give us families some sort of clarification on this matter. As much as I would love to see our children back in school when it is safe to do so, I just don't understand the rush to open when we are seeing the numbers that we currently are. It would be a devastation to open the schools prior to being able to do so safely. If the numbers are still in the purple tier, would we continue to remain closed to distance learning only? These are all very important questions, and I hope that we get some clarification. Thank you. And the next one is from Faustina Sevilla. Good evening to all present. Once again, I am writing to this group to ask that for the right thing to be done this time for our children. I'm no expert, but for me, COVID cases will not cease to exist, and we must learn to coexist with this virus. Many of us essential employees have been working through it all without missing a beat. Most of us have elder parents and family members that we tend to as well. All of the elderly people that I've talked to can't understand all that is being done and wish that we would stop with this nonsense and get back to living. And although teachers are considered essential as well, these are not being put back into the classroom. Some teachers continue to say that being back at school is like getting their death sentence. At this point, I have to take these for what they are, just words. Their actions continue to contradict these. Some are attending events, going out of town, state, and teaching while they are there. If these teachers are so afraid, why are they going to other states? Some even going to what are considered hot COVID spots. We, the parents, are aware of what you fearful teachers are doing. Very disappointing to see this type of disregard for the proper type of education to be given to our children. You should be ashamed of using this virus as an excuse to not go back to teach in a school. You claim to not be child care providers, yet this is exactly what you are doing with your children and saving money while at it. While a lot of parents are struggling to make ends meet with having to pay for their children to be cared for, we are past the time in which teachers are put back into the classroom to do the job that they are getting paid for. It's time for all teachers that do not have a medical condition, etc., to step it up and go back to school. It's time to stop failing our children and open up their schools up. And the next one is from Sally Adams. To the DSUSD Board of Education, thank you so much for taking the time to read these comments. I wish that I could be there to speak in person, but my husband's work schedule does not allow me to attend tonight. I have been a teacher in Desert Sands for the past 16 plus years and a member of the technology department for the past 14 plus. As a teacher on special assignment and now project facilitator in technology, I have been privileged to be a part of some of the greatest change and innovations in Desert Sands. I was there when we implemented an online attendance and grading platform, when we first began using GS Suite for education, when we issued Chromebooks to students, and when our teachers began using large format displays, LFDs, in the classroom. I believe that my work as a member of the technology department has impacted hundreds of teachers and thousands of students over the years. And while there have been bumps along the road in technology, we continue to be an incredible tool for the enhancement of education in the hands of teachers and students. On tonight's agenda, you will find an updated job description for the Manager of Network Services. as Chuck King is retiring at the end of this year. While it is definitely necessary to update this role, I believe it is more critical for the board to consider replacing the Director of Technology position. When Dr. George Araya retired in 2016, the board approved a change to the director position. The director was replaced by a Chief Information and Innovation Officer, CIIO position, and Dr. Kelly Mae Vollmer was hired to fill that role. For the next 3 years, Dr. Mae Vollmer led the department in expanding the number of Chromebooks throughout the district, placing a device in every student's hand, and in creating our own LTE network, which provides internet access to students who don't have access at home. In the summer of 2019, Dr. Mae Vollmer was promoted to the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, and the position of CIIO was eliminated, and the Technology Department was moved from the Business Services Division to the Educational Services Division. Since that time, the Technology Department has operated without a director position. The department continues to have a manager of network services, Chuck King, and a manager of student information services, Angelica Vaca. However, the educational technology team was left without a direct supervisor. In the Educational Services Division, there are many director positions. We have a director of college and career readiness, a senior director of elementary curriculum instruction and assessment, a senior director of secondary curriculum instruction and assessment, a director of professional development and teacher support, and a director of state and federal programs. And yet the Technology Department, a department of 29 members, does not have a director. During this incredibly difficult time with quarantines, shutdowns, and distance learning, the need for a unification of district efforts and messaging is critical. And over the past year and a half without a director, the Technology Department has floated and struggled without a single focused leader to guide them. As such, I would like to petition the board to consider reinstating the position of Director of Technology, or CIIO, and begin the search for a person to lead and guide the Technology Department through these critical times and unpredictable future. For certainly, without the incredible men and women in this department, of which I am honored to belong, our district would never have been able to transition to distance learning and support the thousands of teachers, students, and staff in Desert Sands. Thank you again for your time and consideration. Sally Adams, Technology Facilitator, Middle Schools. And those are all the online. And to continue with communication from the floor, in accordance with bylaws of the board number 9323, time is reserved for oral communications by members of the Board of Education or by citizens present. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items shall have a 3-minute limit and should indicate their intention at this time. In accordance with the law, decisions of the board cannot be made on any matter not previously published before the board meeting, as indicated in bylaws of the board number 9323.2. Name of Jason Whitley. Okay, Edie, come up to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Jason Whitley. I'm here to talk about the COVID-19 and getting our kids back to school. It's clear that we're in a state of emergency here in our state, in our county, in the country. It's clear also that in state of emergencies, we put our children first. But what I see going on here for the past month and month after another is that we're putting ourselves first, and we're not taking our children and putting them where they belong, which is at school. They belong in school. They need school. They need us teachers. They need social interaction. They need those things. They thrive on those things. So many of us are taking our own personal interests ahead of our children's, and that's a shame. Our children need us. And for some reason, we're talking about all of these other things that are important, extremely important, but if we could flip the script, if we could put the children first, and we say they have to go back to school, period. That's number one. They go to school. They need their education. They need their interaction. They need the teachers there to help them with their education. They need their athletics. They need these things desperately. If that comes first, then let's figure out the rest. We could do it that way, but we don't. We're not doing it that way. I don't know why we're not doing it that way. We have AC filters that we're doing a good job on getting to school, water filtration systems that we can fill up. All this is great, but can we get the kids back to school? They have to get back in school. We need them back in school. But all we talk about is everything else. Why is that not first? Why is that not number one? That's a guaranteed, their stamp is on it. They're in school. We're coming back to school. Let's do it. And then we can say, we need to get all these things in priority. We need to help our teachers be safe. I understand that. Nobody wants to hurt a teacher. Nobody wants to spread this disease. But let's put the children first. We're in a spike right now. We've had a couple of spikes, yes? But these kids still aren't in school. Let's get them in school. We may have a spike. We may have a COVID breakout. But they got to get back in school. It's important. They need us. Where are the people fighting for our kids? We have teachers' unions that are fighting against our kids. Where's the student union that we need? We need the students back in school. That's part of us. We need to be here for our kids. My son, my daughter, their son, their daughter, they need us. Help us get back. Fight for us to get us where we belong. We need you. We have to have our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Manny Ott.
Good evening, guys. Sorry, it's my first time here. First time speaking, but I think my kids deserve it. I'm worried about my kids not being in school. So I'm going to show a couple examples. This is my friend Heidi Brewski. Heidi is the head coach of the Bishop Friedman Shamrock High School volleyball team. About an hour ago, she won her league championship. She's 8-0. Her kids are all playing sports right now. Bishop Friedman is a Boston area school. They're public. This is my friend Mason Bray. He scored 5 touchdowns on Friday night at Sohora High School and they're going to go in the playoffs. Sohora is about 250 miles east of here, over in Scottsdale. Imagine that, Friday night lights out here. This is my goddaughter, Rachel Stamer. She had her personal best on Thursday in a school meet in Tucson, Arizona. They won second in state at their school meet. I want these kids playing sports. This is important for them. The most important thing about all these events that happen is they're all public schools. Unlike our governor who's sending his kids to private schools, these are all public kids, school kids that are going to school and playing athletics, and they're doing it 5 days a week. Why can't we do that? There's some way to make it happen. For work, I travel the world. I've been all over. Germany, France, and the UK have recently enacted some of the strictest lockdowns anywhere in the world. In Paris, if you leave your house right now, you get a €150 Euro fine if you leave your house without a note. One thing they're all still allowed to do, go to school. In-person schooling, just like Rachel, Mason, and Heidi's kids. They're all still doing in-person schooling. Why can't we do that? My kids, at some point, will have to learn we'll have to compete with these kids for jobs in the future. How are they supposed to compete with these kids when they're sitting at home internet learning? Their internet drops out half the time. They're sitting in a waiting room trying to get into their classes. How is this working for them? The rest of the world, even New York City, everybody else is still going to in-person schooling. Even today, New York City is doing in-person schooling. The rest of the world is doing in-person schooling. It is important, guys. Let's get this right. Thank you.
Thank you. Reina Gonzalez Alisi.
Thank you. I wanted to take this opportunity to officially congratulate Allison Sear, third grade teacher at Johnson Elementary, for being recognized as a California State Teacher of the Year. She is an amazing example and inspiration to us all as educators. One standard she lives by is to make each day better than the day before. That alone inspires me to look at every day as an opportunity to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday. I've had the opportunity to work directly with Allison for the last 2 years as she diligently serves the members of Desert Sands Teachers Association by being one of our 2 elementary grade level directors. We have all been inundated with more demands on our time and attention during the COVID-19 pandemic, and Allison is no exception. Yet she fields phone calls, emails, and texts with patience and grace. I am honored to serve our union members with her and to call her my friend. I would also like to congratulate and welcome Tricia Pierce to the Desert Sands Unified School District Board of Trustees. I first met Tricia in 2014 when I joined her on the staff of Amelia Earhart Elementary. Our classrooms were 2 doors down from each other, and I got to observe firsthand how she interacted with students, parents, and other staff members. Her personal style and caring demeanor made her a favorite among second grade teachers. We also served together on the Desert Sands Teachers Association Executive Board from 2017 to June of 2020. Her dedication to that role was just as heartfelt. She served our DSTA members well. Now I look forward to working together as we move forward in our collaborative method. When the district and the association are in sync, everybody benefits. Lastly, I would like to congratulate Mr. Tomac for his years of dedicated service to Desert Sands Unified School District. As you have so diligently congratulated our certificated as well as our classified staff on making it to the finish line, tonight is my turn to congratulate you. It's no secret that we have not always seen eye to eye, no more so than since entering into a pandemic. However, at the beginning of my presidency, we had an opportunity for some one-on-one conversations, and we even shared a meal together when we helped serve the Thanksgiving dinner with the culinary students at La Quinta High. I can honestly say that for me personally, I believe that you go about your work with the best intentions and that you do not seek to willfully contradict or undermine any individuals or groups. We can have differing opinions and still respect each other. Once again, thank you, Mr. Tomac, for your years of dedication to Desert Sands, and I hope you get your observatory one of these days. On a final note, I think it's important to heed the words of scientists and doctors in order to get ahead of this pandemic. Because the personal protective equipment was not used and physical distancing was not practiced diligently, we are in a worse position than we were before. In fact, not everyone present in this boardroom tonight is wearing their PPE correctly. So now is not the time to consider bringing students and staff to in-person learning on campuses. Now is the time to double our efforts, stay at home for the holidays, and get the pandemic under control. I will not support sending anyone back to in-person teaching and learning and have their illness and possibly death on my conscience when it can be avoided. This will not last forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kimberly Hetherington.
I'm going to be pushing this up because it's too hard to. Hello, everyone, again. I'm kind of shooting from the hip today because I feel that
It is. It is.
Okay, we'll have that legal battle later. But anyhow, then restart my time, please. So, I would like to know who the scientists are that we follow. Who are these medical professionals that we follow? Who is this governor that we follow? Who are these teachers that are teaching from other states? Who are these teachers that go out to dinner with more than 12 people and post it on their social medias? Who are these teachers that cannot come back to school, but they can teach from other states? They can go out to dinner. It is baffling and a complete conflict of interest how your board is now going to be so compromised, and parents do not have a choice any longer. That be aside, I am a special needs mom. I have been very vocal. I will continue to be vocal. Desert Sands Unified School District has been awesome to my child up until March. And they have tried to be better and better, but 12 weeks, it has taken me 12 diligent weeks. I work 6 to 7 days a week. I run a small business. I am not asking for compensation, but I am owed something when I have to provide my child who is autistic, who also, that means that it is illegal for you to qualify my child in a category for acute needs or not. What are these special cohorts? Because my friends that are part of your district that have Down syndrome, they're not part of that special cohort, so I guess they're not acute enough. Did you know that autism is no longer diagnosed in ASD levels? Did you know that that violates law? I want to know what was promised to me can happen. My child was at Adams Early Childhood Learning Center for 4 years. Awesome staff, amazing staff. I would have been part of their parent-teacher association too if it weren't for me being a single mom that works 6 to 7 days a week. I am a hospitality industry personal care service provider. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I follow protocols in my own practice. How is it possible that I can be back to work when my hands are literally and figuratively all over people's skin? But you guys are afraid to come back and teach my child that cannot learn on a computer, even though I provide him a computer with a screen this big so he can see his one-on-one aid that 12 weeks later I got. 12 weeks. I have record of this. I am furious. I'm furious that this is not being taken serious. I am no disrespect to anything with COVID-19. I have family members that delivered without any epidural or anything, a child in the midst of a fever of COVID-19. I get that it's serious, but get our kids back to school already. You had a chance to do it. You didn't do it when we were in the red.
Thank you. Next is Yuri Bejarano.
Newsom doesn't wear his mask, so I'm not wearing mine. On October 6th, one of your teachers wrote a comment to be read out loud during the board meeting, and it was read when there was 5 minutes and 57 seconds remaining during the public comments. I was baffled.
Ms. Bejarano, can you please put your mask on?
Newsom doesn't wear it.
Newsom's not in this room.
Yeah.
And who are you?
Is security going to enforce our protocols here in the
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Why am I being attacked? Why am I being attacked by her?
No. It is required within the
Newsom
facility.
doesn't wear his when he speaks.
Well, but we're in a smaller situation. We don't know where he is, and so I would appreciate it. I'm not trying
Okay,
to
let's start my
criticize
time
you,
again.
but I would appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just remember that there is a God, okay? Whether you believe in him or not, one day you will have to give account to him. Can we start my time from the beginning? Okay. I was baffled that she was against opening schools because on Saturday, just a few days prior to the comment she submitted, she posted on Facebook that she attended a family game night with another family and while they were enjoying Krispy Kreme donuts. She has also been quite the productive one with home improvement projects. So unless she had all the materials laying around her house, she would have to put her family in unnecessary danger at a home improvement store for these projects of hers. And even if she didn't take her daughters with her, she does realize that she could be bringing this deadly virus home with her from a place that does not do temperature checks, as she requested in her comment. Thank you. We must do if we open our schools. These teachers do realize that they have parents as friends on Facebook and that their actions contradict their concerns. I'm sick and tired of hearing how they fear for their lives while they post away how much fun they are having. I hope you see past these false concerns and see it for what it is. She's obviously enjoying her time with her daughters, and she doesn't want it to come to an end. Shoot, who would, right? You're getting paid to be at home with your kids and doing all the things you didn't have time to do. Sounds like a dream. As a self-employed individual, I absolutely love the flexibility I have to work around my children's needs. The difference is that she is not self-employed. She is an employee. And if she wants the freedom to do what she wants, she's the one who needs to do some serious reflecting on her career choice, that is. I will end with this. I have underlying conditions, and guess what? I had COVID, and unless I'm a ghost, I'm here standing right before you, healthy as can be. Not because of the help of a medical professional, because I used my common sense and focused on building my immune system to fight it off. Not even Newsom is following his own orders. This is who made all these ridiculous rules, and now his children are attending school in person. Why? Does he not care about their safety? No, it's because he, like all of us in this room, know that in-person education is essential. She knows it. She's taking advantage of it. And that's what we have all been asking for, the option to have a choice. One last thing, you all do realize that these kids that you are so afraid of teaching now are getting jobs out of desperation for human interaction. So enjoy those donuts and takeout meals made and served with highly contagious teenager COVID hands. You all love to share stats. Why don't we talk about the amount of Fs that this district has compared to last year?
Thank you. Next. Leslie Cantor. Leslie Cantor.
Good evening. I'd like to start off by saying how disappointed I am, how things are digressing with the school year. We had an opportunity a while back when we were in the red tier to open our schools for hybrid learning. You failed us. You had months of planning that could have made this possible. You chose to make that decision for all of us to stay home when we had the right to send them to a classroom. You took that right away from us. This virus is not as deadly as the fear that has been put upon us. Yes, it's highly contagious. Yes, our numbers are up, but our deaths are down because of the treatments they have now found to take care of this virus, and a vaccine is just around the corner. That all being said, we need to make sure you are prepared to open our schools January 19th, as promised to the parents of Desert Sands. Keeping these children locked in their homes has caused depression and suicides in our district. You continue to ignore this. You should be ashamed of yourselves if you've allowed this to happen when you had the opportunity to open our schools. The kids that are now seniors never had a junior prom. They never had a senior homecoming, a senior night at football, or all the other senior activities that they are so entitled to and look forward to. You have denied this from them. I understand there are restrictions from the state, but like I said, you could have opened when we were in the red tier. You should have been prepared. Orange County prepared before school even started. I have a daughter who is a teacher there, and the kids went back at the end of September. They have had no incidents. The moment they were out of the purple tier, they opened because they were prepared. Even our governor has his kids in private school, along with one of the board's members, so they can attend in-class instruction. No more excuses. You have teachers, parents, students that want to be back in the classroom. Education is essential, and teachers are too. Zoom is not working. Children are failing at a higher rate than ever. You have given the option for those to stay home that want to, but you haven't given the option for those that want to go back. I'm appalled at the social media. It's already been mentioned, but it's amongst the teachers that say they are afraid to go back to school. Yet they are out there working out in boot camps, having game night at friends' homes with more than just their family. They're taking trips and teaching from other places rather than their home or school. We as parents have eyes and ears, and we are not blinded by what goes out on social media and gets sent to us parents that want our children back in the classroom. Your teachers are using fear as an excuse so they can enjoy all these things at the expense of our children. Since this is the case amongst some of your teachers, I suggest that you possibly hire those teachers that want to be in the classroom, that are looking for jobs. There are many of those teachers out there. This could be such an easy process. Look at the model schools in other counties that have done this. You should have this all arranged prior to the next semester starting. In case our governor doesn't move us out of the purple tier, for example, say February, then when we are ready to, when we do jump into the next tier, we should be ready to jump right back into the classroom. We need to get these kids back ASAP. This will give us the opportunity in the spring to start getting them back to some normalcy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Flavia Diaz.
My daughter's going to go first, Cameron Diaz.
Cameron, okay.
Hi, my name is Cameron Diaz. I am a junior at Indio High School. I play volleyball and softball, and I've been conditioning for volleyball for some time now. So we've been conditioning, but we've been doing it safely, and we've been also following the guidelines, and with everything going on with COVID, we've been looking, well, myself and my teammates are looking forward to our working out and going back to our athletics. Sorry.
With the athletics conditioning starting, I've noticed a mental change in Cameron, and also have talked to some of the other parents and have noticed just by getting them back out on the field, gives them, it's just a different light. It's just not being at home 24/7, and we just need to get the kids back active, going. So.
Thank you. Are there more? I have no more.
Yeah, they need to be submitted before anyone speaks. Yeah, you can submit them down here, please. It's a matter of public record. What's happening? They just need to be 6 feet approximately. In this order.
Is this the microphone right here? All right.
All right. I have Alexander Whitley.
All right, thank you. So first, I would like to go over how well of a job I think Palm Desert High School has done with our football practices. I believe we have had 0 COVID cases, so far it's been pretty successful. Another thing I'd like to go over is that at the pro and college level, football has been executed successfully so far, which I think is a really big positive note for high school football teams. We look around the country and all these other schools have opened up, and clearly California is a little bit of a different case, but if it's being executed successfully elsewhere, why can we not do this here? Sorry about that. The sport of football means a lot more to seniors and us than maybe some of the other children here. And it's really ridiculous why we have not implemented the same strategies that other schools have done successfully. The schools have reopened, we have not, and I think there's just no reason for this. Online school is clearly not working, as you guys have heard before, and we need to fix this. I've talked to each and every one of my teachers, and each of them have agreed that they would like to go back. So why is this that we're not back? We log onto Zoom every single day with no human interaction, and this is unacceptable. And me and my fellow teammates are suffering because of this. We need to get back as soon as possible. And the sport of football needs to continue as planned. We've had no cases so far, as I mentioned. This alone should be a reason why we should continue having football. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Mitchell Ryan.
Am I good to go? All right. Thank you guys for having us tonight. I just wanted to say that, I think, like he said, I think Palm Desert's done a great job so far. We have temperature checks every day we walk in, hand sanitizer all over. Everyone wears masks, no cases. But I think the senior class, high schoolers, every level, kids are working too hard at home to have the decision taken out of their hands. We don't have a voice right now. Our teachers union is not helping us. Every teacher I ask, I don't know any teacher that would want to just talk in front of black boxes for another year. I don't see how any teacher is going to make it through. We're struggling. It's November. We're maybe 12 weeks into the school year. I don't know how we're going to finish this year. It's bigger than athletics, even though as students we deserve to have our activities and our athletics because we put in too much time to have those decisions taken out of our hands. It's safe enough for us to have sports. We've been there for 4 weeks. I think this is week 4 of having football. No positive COVID cases at all. The kids are safe. It's time for us to go back on campus. The decision's been out of our hands for too long. I don't really understand why leadership isn't giving the students more of a voice. I mean, I just think we're at the point now where we've seen it, like he said, college level, even students, not athletics too, but students are safe. There's very few cases, relatively no deaths at all. I think, it's time for us to go back. College is doing it well. High schools around the nation are doing it well. It feels like California, I know government has their say and everything here. It's definitely crazy, but it almost feels like California thinks they're ahead of the curve with these crazy COVID policies, but in reality, we're lagging behind. Everyone's making sacrifices. I don't see my grandparents for Thanksgiving or Christmas. They're staying in Texas and Oklahoma. But almost everywhere else in the United States, kids are going to elementary school, high school, middle school, preschool, and honestly, it's time for us to go back. I think our leadership, the people that are leading us through this, think that we're ahead of the curve, but we're really just lagging behind the rest of the United States, and I think it's time for the students to get a voice. The teachers, the majority of the teachers, not just a few people in the union, to get a voice and take us back to school, because I think it's time, and we've just been waiting too long. 12 weeks has been too long, and I just don't see how we're going to make it through the year without our activities, athletics, and most importantly, the academic side. It's impossible. And that's it. That's all I want to say. Thank you guys again.
Thank you. And next is Jack Rodart.
Hi. I just want to say, back what Alexander was saying, how Palm Desert has been so good with how...
Please put your mask on. Thank you.
How every single day we come in, get our hand sanitizer, have to have our masks on every time, 6 feet. They've been doing awesome with that. And I don't really get how we can do that, but we can't go back to school. Because for me, honestly, because it's not about the sports. For me, for my grades, it's been terrible. Zoom class is like, I cannot go to Zoom class. It just doesn't do it for school. I need to be in class with a teacher. I need to be there. I need to ask questions. The Zoom class, it doesn't do it. My grades are failing because of that, and I just feel like if we can go back to football, go back to practicing, I feel like we should go back to school. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't have any more. That concludes.
There we go.
All
Thank
right.
you, boss.
Absolutely. I'd asked for a privilege to go first on board and superintendent comments. Reason being, I wanted to recognize Mr. Tomac's 21 years service as a board member, which, I don't know, that's such a record, I think. But I know you've seen a lot in 21 years setting up here, but I don't think you were ready for this one, were you? All right, so I have a special presentation for you. First of all, a plaque recognizing 21 years service to the board. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you so very much.
You made it to the finish line. Mr. Tomac likes, well, I think he's in love with three things. Judy, his wife, he loves coffee, and he absolutely loves observatories, so I've tried to encapsulate all that in an I Love Observatories mug.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that privilege.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. I'd like to hear from my colleagues on the board first, and we can start with our new student board member, Natalie. Anything you'd like to add about the schools, the folks here? In fact, for the students that are here, you always have a voice through the student board representative. You have one for the Palm Desert School, but you can contact any one of the student board members, and they will bring your concerns here to the school board. So with that, Natalie, you're on.
I do agree with the ladies that were here earlier that students have been dealing with mental issues as well, being indoors and not being able to see their friends, being in contact with like their whole school and their environment. I personally do not. How do I say this? I personally do not speak about my personal life and my personal mental health. I do have anxiety diagnosed and diagnosed depression as well. It has been hard being indoors and not being able to be in my school environment. It has been hard not being able to keep up with my grades as well because of this whole Zoom thing, not being able to connect, waiting in rooms. It's been hard for my friends as well, as they tell me. I have talked to my parents as I do want to go back to school physically so I can actually go back to Summit High School because as you know, Summit High School has a different learning curriculum where you can advance more than other students in different high schools such as Palm Desert High School, La Quinta High School, etc. It is more, not advanced, but like more of the student's pace, basically. And I choose to stay at Summit High School because it is that way. But as I said, I am not allowed to, my parents did not allow me to go back. I do have a job, which I don't understand why I cannot go back to school physically to improve my grades, to improve my mental health as well, and to just enjoy my last year of high school as a senior. And as a student body president, I guess, to be there in school and encourage other students as well to move past this COVID situation, as well as take care of themselves, sanitizing themselves frequently, not being in contact frequently, and as well as wearing their mask frequently. Although cases have risen as well, we do have to take care of ourselves frequently. It is a concern of mine that as I do have a job, it concerns me that I go home, I might have COVID, and I might contaminate my family. But on another note, it does concern me that if we do go back to school, you may get COVID and you may get your family sick as well. Or in other cases, you can probably just get COVID and your family members cannot afford to pay your bills, your hospital bills, to like help you get over COVID, basically. That's really all I have to say, other than school and mental health for other students as well. We really do need school back as well. As I heard from other students as well, the students that were here and the mothers that were here as well, not complaining, but just stating their cases or points that we need school back. And that's all I have to say. No problem.
Thank you. And thank you, Natalie, and welcome. It is good to see you here. And it is good to hear our students coming and letting us know their ideas, their thoughts, their beliefs. I do want to take a moment to congratulate you, Mr. Tomac, on a lifetime of being on the board. You finally got the observatory that you wanted. You should be happy now. Enjoy your retirement. I do want to take this moment to, I know you brought up Veterans Day earlier. I know we have quite a few veterans working in the Desert Sands Unified School District. I do want to take a moment to thank them for their service. And you as well, Mr. Tomac. I know that you are a veteran as well. I did have a question for Dr. Kelly Mae Volmer. I had a question on the online registration. I think the number you said was 35% shows distance learning. Is there a number of how many people actually submitted? I know it was either distance learning or just automatically put in hybrid. Is that correct? So, but is there a number of how many were actually?
There actually is a number, yes, and I don't have that right here in front of me, but I certainly can provide that in a Friday letter. But yeah, we do have numbers for every grade span in each school if you would like.
Perfect. Okay, and I think that was the testing for, no, not the SBAC testing. I just have notes everywhere for Ms. Fisher, Laura. On the testing for the staff, will that be starting with the ones that are on the small group instruction?
Yes, those will start with the teachers that are in the classroom now with the students. Yes, and so that really gives us a great opportunity to see how that surveillance testing will work because it's a much smaller group right now of teachers and paraeducators and administrators. But we'll be starting that. We have a couple of options for them in order to how to get the testing done that we're going to be providing to them in the next week or so. Yes.
And what happens if somebody tests positive?
What's the same is that it happens now. They provide that information for us. We work in collaboration with Riverside County Public Health, where we look at contacts, and then that name is sent to Riverside County, and they do more of the personal contact tracing with the person.
And what happens to the class if the teacher or a staff member tests positive or a student?
Well, we haven't had, just because we just started with students last week. Right. We haven't had the opportunity, but the protocols are all there. Whether it's a student or a staff member, we have the isolation rooms set up at the sites, and again, that's a great opportunity for our 6 sites that we have now to put these things in place. So we have the isolation room if a child should become ill at school. That's why we're requiring the screening before a child or a staff member comes to work. So if they have any symptoms, they don't come. If they should get symptoms when they're already there, then if it's a staff member, they're sent home with recommendations for testing. If it's a student, they're sent to the isolation room. Parents are called, and they're taken home. And there's a protocol that we follow along with Riverside County Public Health in regards to that. If it should become a positive, if they are tested and it's a positive test, then we provide the forms to the county health department as far as contact tracing that we have, and they follow up on a more individual level.
Will the class be quarantined at that point?
Yeah, it depends again on the contact tracing. Our classes are very small right now, so I would assume right now they define a contact as anybody within 6 feet that had 15 minutes cumulative over 24 hours. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it was 15 minutes all at once. It can be different time periods of within less than 6 feet contact. And then we would give that information to the county. And depending on, we've done quarantines at this point. If we feel like that needs to be with those contact people now using that definition, we've certainly put people on quarantine just with our staff now.
And I also was wondering, because I get emails asking me, like, for example, some of the questions that were asked here that I think one of the parents said, it might seem trivial in, in the big picture, but is there somewhere that we can put on our website, like a frequently asked questions? Because even though it may seem, in her words, trivial in the big picture, that doesn't always seem trivial in our minds as parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we're like, oh my God, am I going to have this? Is my student still going to have that? Is there somewhere that parents can submit a question and, I don't know, get an answer, or like a frequently asked question? Because I'm sure that the same question, we probably have 1,000 parents that have that question.
Absolutely. And so a couple of things happen. One is, as we're hearing those questions, we all try to incorporate those responses into our COVID reports that we give here at the board meeting. Additionally, we took the summary, if you will, of the questions that we were receiving prior to the registration, and we did post on our website those answers that we had at that time, including the question about the IB courses and things like that, because we know those are important to parents, and we don't think they're trivial. We understand really the angst and the stress involved with things that are very important to their children and to them as parents. And so we did, those were posted. Additionally, we have a Working Together website that is posted that parents often will email, and we respond to each of those. We also try to, as those summaries of ideas come in, we try and push that out on social media as well, so parents have access to it there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffith, anything to comment?
I'd also like to congratulate you on 21 years of service. I know you're the longest tenured board member since I've been on the board, and I wish you have a great second retirement after the FAA. You've put in more years than a lot of our employees do volunteering for the board, and your insight into different issues has been very beneficial to us. On the more serious side of the matter is, I believe we should be able to get back to school, but before we can do that, we need some direction from our governor and some assistance from our bargaining units, because I hear what the students and the parents are saying, and I believe those are very valid concerns. Everybody wants, or the people that want their children back in school, that should be an option for them, but we don't have the unilateral ability to make people come back to school. And so until we get that authority, or those people want to come back, we're stuck in the same situation you are, wanting to come back and wanting to serve you, but having the inability to do so. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. Mrs. Jonathan.
Yes, first of all, I do want to address Mr. Tomac. And I think last time I addressed you, I got a little emotional, and I'm hoping that that won't happen again. But I do want to say, as a former teacher, I had a perspective of, I had this belief about you before I got on the board. And I felt and heard that you weren't always the friendliest person out on the board, and not friendly to teachers. And I will say, in the past 8 years, I have never, ever seen a more dedicated person to our school district. You have been at every single event that I could think of. They're supporting the students. It didn't matter whether it was in Palm Desert or out in Coachella where Van Buren is, or in India or La Quinta or Bermuda Dunes. You were there. I don't think you ever missed a math field day, science fair. Just every single event I could think of that you could possibly name, you were there. And you were there in an instant if somebody was doing something special at their school and they wanted you to be there. I know at the district, I sometimes wonder if you have your own desk there because you come to the district all the time to get information. You are by far the most dedicated school board member I have ever met. And I speak that with some kind of authority because after being on the school board, I now sit on the California School Board Association. So I've met a number of school board members with a number of years behind them. And I have never, ever met a more dedicated school board member. You will be missed, and that you are irreplaceable. And I know they always say everybody's replaceable. No, you bring a knowledge of business and numbers that we need. School districts aren't all about numbers, but honestly, it has a lot to do with numbers because we don't watch the bottom line. We can't fund our teachers. We can't fund our programs. We can't fund anything. And the county will take us over in the state. So you've been really making sure that we follow the bottom line. And I just want to say thank you. It's been truly an honor and a blessing. And I'm shouting out to all those teachers that may be listening and thinking they've heard that Mr. Tomac is not a good person and he's not for teachers. I'm telling you that's not true. It's not true. And it's not that I haven't that I drank the Tomac Kool-Aid. I am very much and always will be a teacher at heart. That was my livelihood and my passion. But I know somebody who's just as passionate about students and that's you, Mr. Tomac. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
And I wanted to touch, there were so many people to say thank you, but I wanted to say a couple of items. First of all, Natalie, thank you so much for your comments. You know, it's important that we hear this because we're hearing about different fears, and Mr. Griffith spoke quite eloquently about that. It really comes down to what we are in today's time. We have no control. Whether our school's open or not ultimately depends on the elected officials in Sacramento. It has nothing to do with what we do. We can want to open the schools immediately now, but we can't because our hands are tied by the elected officials in Sacramento. And until they realize that it's important that our schools are reopened, we're not going to be able to do that. And obviously, we're going to have to do that in concert with our unions, our classified and our certificated. And I'm hoping that they see just as much as I have seen doing my research and again, communicating with my school board members across the state, that schools are not super spreaders. Yes, they do have COVID. Some of them have had cases of COVID, but they have not been super spreaders. It is not something that they've had to worry about. And as far as precautions, it ultimately also comes down to putting that mask on, washing your hands, keeping the 6 feet away. Let's be mature about this and make sure that we're making the right decisions. And until we get the ability to go forward, we're not going to be able to get there and open the schools. And it's unfortunate. I do have some family members, my brother-in-law and my niece, both teach in a private school in LA, and they've had to close because of the latest news. But I will tell you, they didn't have a single case of COVID during the entire time they were open. But I wanted to go on and recognize some of the people that they did some congratulations to, and only because they have touched my life, and I know what incredible people they are. I met Allison Sear when she was a student teacher for one of our teachers, Nathan Manderfield at Monroe. She did some student teaching with him, and she had this program called Random Acts of Kindness, and I kind of, at that point, I realized what a special person Allison was, and watching how she created this program within the classroom, and and it's been really a privilege watching her evolve. And I feel we're really blessed in our district to have Allison. I think she's just an amazing person and educator, and she's always been a giver. And I think that we can learn a lot about what we want to aspire to. And I can't think of a better role model than Allison. So congratulations to Allison. Also, the finalists that were mentioned earlier for the League of High Schools, we had Dennis Zink, and I want to say, congratulations, Dennis, and good luck. I guess he has to come up with some kind of video or interview process, I guess, for those minutes, and I'm sure he's going to do an incredible job. We are so thankful that he's here at Palm Desert High School, and we wish him the best of luck. And Crystal Hollenbeck, I had her children in my classroom, so I have to give a great shout out to Crystal, and again, I'm so pleased. I could see what a great educator she was, so it doesn't surprise me. I think that we in Desert Sands have some incredible educators and staff, and we're just so blessed here. And Brad Fisher, if I don't mention him, I know that I will catch a lot of flack, and I hope that he I congratulate him, and I hope that Ohio State does well in their football games, because I know that's important to him as well. But again, I just want to say thank you to all the staff, all the classified and certificated. A big shout out to those special ed teachers that came back. I appreciate you taking the time and the effort to go back to the classroom. We really do appreciate you, and all those teachers that are teaching remotely. Thank you so much for the efforts, and the staff that are keeping everything going from behind the scenes. And finally, obviously, our cabinet. I want to say thank you. I know I say it at every meeting, but these are difficult times, and you are going above and beyond. And I really am so amazed at our cabinet, our directors, our management. I just want to say a big thank you to all of you, because you're doing such a great job and making sure that what we are able to work with is as being handled in the most professional and best way possible. So thank you so much.
Ms. Jonathan, President Porras.
Yes, thank you so much. I am going to start off with Allison, and just congratulations once again. I know you've heard it a million times, but we can't say it enough how proud we are of you. And most importantly, you're a fellow Raja, so that's really awesome. So anyway, congratulations, Allison. We've actually met with each other and had a meal together. So she really is the real deal, and I'm really proud of her. So also Dennis, I won't go over the list like Wendy. I mean, I can just reiterate what everything Wendy said. But Dennis, we're so excited for you and Crystal and Sue Ann Block and Brad Fisher and Elizabeth Hartman, California Educator of the Year. That's so awesome. And also I want to welcome Natalie to the board as our student board member. And we really do appreciate all the parents and students coming forward and speaking from your heart, and know that our hearts are for our kids also. And that's why we're here. And just know that as soon as we're able to open up the schools to our kids, we will definitely be doing that, because that's exactly where we want our kids to. So we hear you. And anyway, I also wanted to recognize Madison Elementary. They won the 2020 National Blue Ribbon School, which is the highest honor that any school can achieve. And we're so excited for them. So congratulations to Madison Elementary. And I do want to acknowledge all of our classified staff and management and directors. They've been here since COVID started, have never had time off, and they are working hard, and we couldn't do it without them, and we really do appreciate all of their hard work and the principals, what they do on a daily. And anyway, I will finish with Gary Tomac. And Gary, you, when I was elected to the board 4 years ago, you were one of the key members that just, you know, you've been with the board forever at that time. And so now we're at 21 years, but I just really, really appreciated your help and your mentoring, and helped me with not being nervous about what to do on the board, and you just guided me and helped me so much, and I truly appreciate you. And I've enjoyed going to schools and meetings and just, you know, learning a lot from you. So I really appreciate it, and I definitely believe, you know, agree with Wendy that you are one of the hardest working board members that I've ever met. And you truly, truly love our kids and our teachers, and you're there for them 100%, and you will truly, truly be missed. I wish you the best on your travels. I know you're going to travel more and enjoy that with Judy. And I just, and you made it to the finish line, which you always say, but I also have to say that, you know, everybody talks about your observatory. If I've learned anything over these, you know, past 4 years, is that that's the number one thing that you want. And hopefully one of these days that dream will come true, and we'll all agree to name it the Gary Tomac Observatory. So, anyway, thanks, Gary, and I hope to see you out there somewhere sometime. So congratulations, and thank you so much for your dedication to Desert Sands.
Thank you very much, Linda. And I'd just like to finish up with a few words. First of all, to welcome Natalie to the board, and you are the voice of students here. And anything that you really want to talk about, for whatever topic it happens to be, going to school, opening the doors of the schools, changing classes, food services, whatever it happens to be, we like to hear what you have to say. And a lot of times things have happened because of what the student board member has brought to this board and seen things change. It's been great. From elementary schools, for some of the kids that we've even seen from there, and some of the recommendations come along, a lot from our Horizon School, and as well as our other high schools as well. So please keep comments coming, and solicit them from your colleagues. And I'd like to congratulate Allison. That's quite an honor and quite a distinction for state of California to make it to that level. So well done, well served, and I'm sure you served the children in your classroom quite well. So congratulations. Thank you. I'd like to finish up by just talking just a few minutes and reminiscing too. I began in 1999 with 4 other great board members who are here. Marcel Wright, John Benoit, Tina Godecki, and Jim Kodiker. And things changed quite a bit when that first thing happened, because back then all of the schools were named after ex-presidents or the communities they were in. And that was a big change that actually took, it was a monumental change in the district. It became a school choice issue, and in fact, when we redid the mission statement, school choice was listed in there as one of the first sentences in there. That's why we have more charter schools, we have Horizon schools, we have performing arts schools, the International Baccalaureate programs. I mean, there's just one thing after another we just added through here. It's just been great. And I said, for all those years, we've changed out board members here and there, but the one thing I've always liked to say is, it's almost like the Supreme Court. You know, there's disagreements among the board members on a lot of issues, but we always shake hands when we come in, and we always shake hands when we leave. And it's always the best interest of the kids, as we've always done that regardless, and especially now with my current board members. It has been a joy. I'd like to also thank here all of the principals that I received emails from today. I thought that was really nice, from all of the high schools, middle schools, elementary schools as well, that have had nice words to say and reminisce some of the things that we've done over the years as well. But I'd like to really reminisce with some of the other folks that have really been part of this district over the last 20 years, and begin with one of our teachers here is Diane Sinattle, who did just a tremendous job with the International Baccalaureate program. I heard from her last week. And I even passed along a photo when I was out of the country here for a couple of weeks in Dubai and happened to come across an IB school, world school in Dubai as I was running along in the area there. So I had to reminisce and pass that information along to Diane. And as well as Matt Bugg, who really took the bull by the horns and really got the IB program going there, as well as moving it back to the elementary school over at Franklin Elementary that he opened up. That was his last request, to become a principal opening a new elementary school. I thought that was great. I'd like to recognize also one of the music teachers here in this district, Larry McCoy, if you remember Larry. He had done more to really develop music interest for students that have never really experienced some great music, and did some really different things with the students. Gregorian chants, the steel drums that he developed for the kids. It was just marvelous, some of the things that Larry has done. I'd like to recognize also two of the greatest science teachers we had in this district over the years, Ms. Elaine Preston and Dr. Elu Hicks, who's also still teaching over here. I think they're the two finest science teachers in the state of California, and they should be recognized for that. Dr. Vollmer has really come along with, in the following footsteps of two very wonderful gentlemen here, Dr. George Araya and Chuck King. These were our dreamers and our implementers that have really set the stage for everything we have in technology here in the district, and far ahead of most everywhere that we go with in the state of California. When we do a California School Board Association meeting and talk to other schools, this district is far ahead of everybody, and it's basically because of those two folks that were there. Also because we have a great transportation department. I get a chance to talk to some bus drivers here and there. Terry Parker, over the years, really set the tone in the district many years ago. If you like driving by our schools and seeing how wonderful they are, you have to think of Runar Clark, who's designed almost all of our schools that we have here in the district, and Joe Ledesma, who's the contractor to put them all together. And the way that things get financed, I always thank Mr. Rod Carter, who has saved this district millions and millions of dollars. In fact, I look at it as taxpayer dollars that have been saved by getting the bond issued at the very best rate and grooming the district here to make sure that those numbers look well. And right along the same time with all this construction, we had a great assistant superintendent who was an associate superintendent, Charlene Whitlinger. And Charlene always used to throw nickels around like they're manhole covers, I used to say. And all of the designs for the schools, especially the new Amistad campus, that was Charlene Whitlinger that did that. I thought that was marvelous. And kept us financially solvent during some really tough times. I think that was great. A couple other folks I really like to mention here too that don't get recognition like they should. First of all is Mick Wilhite. Mick Wilhite and his team members have done everything from spelling bees to math field days to Battle of the Books and so many of the other things that have happened in this district. And it's just marvelous. And this is where the parents show up. They are there for those events. The science fair is always filled up. And like I said, this is Mick and his staff putting those things together with awards for the kids. I think that is just great as well. And finally, I'd like to just say thanks to the superintendent's staff. Adriana, Mary Perry, Jen, and especially Blanche Ramirez that's sitting in the back over there. Blanche has kept us out of trouble so many times over the years of making sure the paperwork's done, the meetings are held in time, we make sure you're going to be there, and she has kept us on track. So Blanche, you have been a lifesaver over the years, and that's the greatest appreciation I can say is you kept me out of trouble, and I greatly appreciate it, absolutely. And with that, like I said, I really have been thrilled and enjoyed 2 decades here on the board. It's just been a marvelous opportunity watching the district grow. Watching kids, when I hit my 13th year, it was interesting because kids that I saw or read to in kindergarten were now graduating. And I had 7 years of that after the fact that I have a chance from the early childhood education center all the way through high school. And it has been a treat. And that's a tribute to the staff, the teachers in the district, the bus drivers, the custodians, and especially our security that make sure everybody stays safe over here over the years. And I've greatly appreciated every single moment of it. And I am just as proud as can be to be able to have an opportunity to serve on this board for all these years at the behest of our community and the people that are here. So thank you so very much. Thank you. With that, I have to get back to business here, into the general functions and business services, and we have to begin with a resolution 18.1. Number 12/2020-2021 is a resolution of intention of the Desert Sands Unified School District Board of Education to convey a fee simple and temporary construction easement to Coachella Valley Water District and calling public hearing in connection therewith. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
By Ms. Conover. Is there a second?
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
A second?
Too late.
I don't know.
Any discussion? Well, this is a roll call vote. Natalie? Ms. Conover?
Aye.
Mr. Griffith?
Aye.
Mrs. Jonathan?
Aye.
Mrs. Porras?
Aye.
And Mr. Tomac votes aye. Motion carries. Item number 18.2 is a second resolution, number 13/2020-2021, declaring the futility of public bidding for changes in the acoustical wall and ceiling system work and approving change order number 4 for the 335/01 Foxtrot Indio Middle School Modernization Project. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved, Linda Porras.
By Ms. Porras, is there a second?
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
By Mrs. Jonathan. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. Preferential vote? Natalie? Aye. Ms. Conover?
Aye.
Mr. Griffith?
Aye.
Mrs. Jonathan?
Aye.
Ms. Porras?
Aye.
And Mr. Tomac votes aye. Moving on to item 18.3 through 18.13, there's a number of issued items. As we can take them as a group or individually, as my colleagues so would concern themselves.
I move we take business services item 18.3 to 18.13 as a group.
On over as a group, is there a second? Second by Natalie. Any discussion on any one of these items? Hearing none, call for the question. Preferential vote? Board vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. General functions 19, there are 15 items, but I would like to take one of them separately, 19.12. And is there a motion to take any or all of the remaining 19.1 through 19.15 as a group? 19.12 I'd like to take separately.
I'll make a motion to approve 19.1 to 19.11 and then 19.13 through 19.15 as a group.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. Is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
Second by Ms. Morris. Any discussion on any of those items? Call for the question. Preferential vote? Board vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19.12 is a first reading of a revised board policy 5127 on graduation ceremonies. And the recommendation...
I'll make a motion just so we can discuss it.
I'm sorry, did...
And I will second that because I was going to pull it as well.
Very good. I have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion?
I have a real problem with the last sentence in this board policy where it says we're going to delete any language referencing recognition of valedictorian, salutatorian, and I know we have a different methodology, but then it says top 10 or senior scholars. So are we not going to recognize anybody that's doing it who's reached a certain level in our graduation ceremonies? And if so, why isn't that mentioned within the policy? Because I'm a little concerned that we're dumbing down our graduations and saying, not recognizing students that have worked above and beyond.
Thank you, Ms. Jonathan. Any other comments? Mr. Griffith?
No, I don't have any.
Conover?
I just had a question on where it says to add language regarding invocation at graduation ceremonies. No, the one with the high school equivalency, sorry, the one before that. Is that just, I know we have students at the adult school that get their GED and they kind of walk. Is that pertaining to them as well?
So it's based on them participating in their comprehensive high school graduations and needing to meet the requirements of that comprehensive graduation for the comprehensive high schools. It doesn't mean that they can't participate in an alternative ceremony. And
Do you want us to address Mrs.
I have one
Jonathan's comment, or you want us to wait?
Oh, I have one comment here too, and then you guys can consider or add to this one. And I'm with Mrs. Jonathan on this one. I'm not surprised, but that portion, delete the language referencing recognition of valedictorians, salutatorians, top 10, and senior scholars. I'm a fan of the new system that we have that recognizes more students for their efforts throughout the years of having, whether it's summa cum laude and the system. But there are folks that really reach the very top. And I think that we should continue with the idea of a school valedictorian, salutatorian, top 10, and senior scholar. I approve everything else in here, but at that language right there, delete, I think that that is a mistake here in the district because we always recognize the best of the best, whether it's in sports, whether it's in academics, whether it's in music. I mean, it's like having even the first violin. We recognize a person that is that far above everyone else. And I would like to see this changed on the first reading to eliminate that portion, and we continue with the valedictorian, salutatorian, top 10, and senior scholar as we have in the past.
And obviously, I agree with that.
I agree. This is Linda Porras. I agree also.
Just procedurally, then I believe that the three of you need to vote no.
Correct.
Because the motion is to correct it all or to accept it all. So I just want to make our record clear that then you guys should vote no, and then we should, then it'll fail, and there won't be anything else on the agenda to amend it unless we send it back at the end of the meeting with 3 people in favor. That's how I think procedurally it should be done.
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank you.
So I did have a question with that. So when we implemented the magna cum laude, summa cum laude, was it to supplant valedictorian and salutatorian? That's
The Latin system took the place of.
what I thought. Okay. Just double checking that.
Also, in general, that the magna cum laude, summa cum laude, and cum laude, that would encompass all the senior scholars. They just we wouldn't, I mean, that's just kind of a renaming, whereas valedictorian, salutatorian, and top 10, those are being eliminated, but I think the senior scholar is encompassed in the magna cum laude and the cum laude and the summa cum laude.
that is correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
And I'm fine with us stating those, and again, I'd like to see that in writing. My biggest concern is, if a student is the valedictorian, if they're number 1 in their class, trust me, they worked really hard for that. I will speak from experience. My son was salutatorian, my oldest son. Not that it really mattered to him, and quite honestly, I was proud of him, but did it make my life? No. But if he had not gotten recognized, I don't think he would have been devastated, but he would have been disappointed. And he knew we worked harder than anybody else because he knew, he used to say that all the time. So I just have a real problem. It almost feels like we're punishing those people that are working and really put so much effort in, and that, again, that we're the valedictorian, the salutatorian, and the top 10. Those students are unique students that I think that we need to still pat on the back and say, you are incredible and you've really worked hard for 4 years.
With that, for clarification, a no vote by the board would send this back to the administration to note those changes and bring it back at a future board meeting.
Or for somebody
I have a
to, at the end of the
consensus on
meeting,
that.
put three votes, take three votes and propose something to put on a future agenda.
Well, in that case, I can
Right.
call for the question. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? No?
Nay? Nay?
Mr. Griffith?
I'm going to abstain on this one because I want something different than both of those.
And Ms. Porras?
No.
Yes or no?
A no.
No? The motion fails, and we'll turn this one back to the administration for an adjustment. There we go. Thank you so very much. Let's see. We're into item number 20, General Functions Personnel Services. We have 16 items, 20.1 through 20.16. We can take these individually or as a group.
I mean, we take section 20, 20.1 to 20.16 as a group.
From Mr.
And I'll
Griffith.
second that.
And
Wendy Jonathan.
My second. Any discussion on any one of these items? Hearing none, call for the...
Sorry, Gary. I just want to clarify, we're just going up to 2016, we're not including 2017?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That's what I heard. I'm just clarifying, we're voting on items 21 to 2016, and we're not voting on 2017? Or am I reading something wrong?
I just
Sorry.
have 20.1 through 20.16.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, okay.
All righty. And call for the question. Preferential vote? Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 21, General Function Student Support Services. There are 4 items. We can take all 4 together or individually as you request.
I move that we take 21.1 to 21.5 as a group.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My correction is 21.5, and you are correct. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Natalie. Any discussion on any one of those items? Hearing none, call for the question. Preferential vote? Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 22, there's one item, and this is a recommendation to approve Tuesday, December 15th, 2020 at 7 o'clock at the District Educational Center Boardroom as a day, time, and location of the annual organizational meeting of the Desert Sands Unified School District Board of Education. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Linda Porras.
By Ms. Conover. Is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
By Ms. Porras. Any discussion? Call for the question. Preferential vote? Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 24, there are 16 items on the consent items business services, 24.1 through 24.16. We can take these individually or as a group.
I move we
Do we
take...
take section 24 as a group, 24.1 to 24.16?
Motion by Mr. Griffith. Is there a second? Second by Natalie. Any discussion on any one of those items? Call for the question. Preferential vote?
Aye.
Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 25, consent items, educational services. We have 3 items here we can take individually or as a group.
I move we take consent items 25.1 to 25.3 as a group.
Motion by Ms. Conover. Is there a second?
I'll second Wendy Jonathan.
By Ms. Jonathan. Any discussion on any one of those items? Call for the question. Preferential vote. Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 27. Consent items.
26. 26.
Did we do that? I'm behind. I'm
No,
sorry.
we are at 26.
27 consent items, student support services. There are 4 items, 27.1 through 27.4 we can take as a group.
No, we've missed 26.
Carrie.
26.
26.
26.1.
26.1.
There we go. My mistake. Thank you very much. I'm one ahead of a lot of papers here today. Move backward to item number 26. Thank you very much. Personnel services. There's 26.1. And that's it. And I will read that one here. The recommended motion is to approve the modification agreement to C1006075 with the Riverside County Superintendent of Schools, decreasing the reimbursement amount to $1,800 for the 2019-2020 school year. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Wendy Jonathan.
By Ms. Jonathan, is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
By Ms. Porras, any discussion?
I do want to say really quickly that the Riverside County Superintendent of Schools, we have a new one. It's Edwin Gomez. Judy White retired, so he's our new superintendent for Riverside County.
Anyone else? Call for the question. Preferential vote. Board vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Now, being corrected here, item number 27. There are 4 items, 27.1 through 27.4. Can take those individually or as a group.
I move we take consent items, student support services 27.1 to 27.4 as a group.
Motion by Ms. Conover. Is there a second? Second by Natalie.
Second.
Natalie got it. Sorry. Call for the question. Preferential vote.
Aye.
Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Very good. Thank you, sir. Number 29, personal action certificated. We have one fill in the blank here on certificated personnels.
Yes, thank you very much. For 29.1, agenda item number 12 on page 2, personnel is pleased to recommend the appointment of Daniel Kenley to the position of interim principal at Summit Horizon School.
Very good. Any discussion on any of those items? I have 2. I'd like to congratulate 2 retirees here and certificated employees. Mary Gilbreth, personnel and special education services, 24 years of service. And Kim McGrath from Ford Elementary, 20 years. I've known Kim for all of those years. We've sort of worked our way together here for these years. So congratulations to both of those folks for making it to the finish line. And I hope they have a very, very wonderful retirement as well. And with that, call for the question. Preferential vote does not get the vote on this one. So board vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item, let's see. Item number 31, classified personnel. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
By Ms. Conover. Is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
Any discussion on these items? Well, I will add a few here because we have a number of folks that in our classified list that are going to be retiring rather soon. at the end of December, possibly, some of them, and some shortly thereafter. Dana Duplessis from La Quinta High School, retirement after 19 years of service as an office technician. Hope Hernandez, La Quinta High School, 15 years of service, also as an office technician. Guadalupe Leon, Shadow Hills High School, and take this one back there, a retirement after 26 years as a paraeducator. Kern Marlowe, early childhood education, a custodian, retiring after 14 years of service. Jennifer Morgan, risk management, administrative assistant, 30 years of service as well. Ernesto Vasquez, a warehouse driver and assistant, retirement after 22 years of service. Rose Zamora, early childhood education, as a paraeducator bilingual, 22 years of service there as well. And last but not least, Barbara Sasser, who I've known for so many years here in risk management, even buckles her seatbelt on the school buses when we're riding. So there you go. And Director of Risk Management, best of wishes to Barbara and the rest of the folks here who've made it to the finish line. Very happy retirement to each and every one of them. And with that, call for the question, unless one of my colleagues wants to add on to that.
I just want to congratulate, this is Linda Porras, Barbara Sasser. She's done an amazing job and she will definitely be missed. And I just hope that she has a wonderful retirement and just really enjoy relaxing and living in having some peace.
Thank you very much. With that, call for the question. Board vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see. Call out of closed session actions.
One item, sir. Under closed session item 3.4 tonight, the board took action to approve a general release and settlement agreement, SSS number 02/2020/2021. This item was approved on a motion by Mrs. Porras, seconded by Mrs. Conover. The motion carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Suggestions for future agendas that receive at least 3 votes. Ms. Conover.
None, thank you.
Mr. Griffith.
I know we're going to talk about the graduation ceremonies, and so my suggestion would be that we also bring back in the high school principals to talk about this. I would be in favor of having a top 10 and then the Latin system. I know when they talked about getting rid of valedictorian, salutatorian, there were discussions about how, you know, like newspaper, you could get 5 on a scale of, you know, on the GPA scale, but yearbook you couldn't. And so you had kids changing, where I think if you recognize the top 10, that recognizes people that do a lot of hard work and then gives people the opportunity to be in athletics. And also, you know, if they want to be in newspaper instead of yearbook, they're not, you know, going after that extra point. So that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, I agree.
And I'm going to say that I'd prefer that we leave valedictorian and salutatorian. We actually met, and while I was president, we actually had a focus group regarding a lot of this and recognition for students specifically about their grade point average. And it does matter to those students. And that was the outcome of our focus group that we had, and our recommendation even in recognizing our students, that the consensus was that we should recognize the valedictorian, the salutatorian, and then a group of students, and that they didn't want their GPA distorted in any sort of way. So I'd like the valedictorian and salutatorian to stand. I think that those are unique positions, and it's different than the top 10. You know, you don't sit there and say, you know what, I'm in really big trouble, I'm really sick, I really need to, but I'm going to pick a good one, just one of the good ones, or you're going to look for the very best. And I think that's a perfect example of somebody that's really done the very best, and that if And they've chosen what outcome they would have by the time they graduate, that this is something, a goal of theirs.
Ms. Jonathan, your recollection of those group meetings are correct. I remember the same thing. So we have a consensus and more than 3 votes. So we can bring that one back to the admin. Anything else? Ms. Porras?
I would like to ask about the director of tech to reinstate that. Is that something that we do for this, or is this something that we talk about at another time?
I didn't hear.
Could you repeat that, please?
She wants to, I think she's wanting to bring back the Chief Information and Innovation Officer of Technology. When Kelly took on the position of Assistant Superintendent, we now lack that position. And I agree with Linda. I think that we should reinstate that director position.
No, I thought we blended them together.
No, we didn't.
No, we did. We blended both departments under one person.
No, actually, we have Chuck King doing one position, and that's a strictly technology. That was his position. And then there's the other position that, again, it's not a more direction for the staff members that are within technology.
So this is Dr. Vollmer, Mrs. Jonathan. So to Mrs. Conover's statement about the blending, when we made the move, historically in technology, there is the Computer Network Services Manager, which is Chuck King currently, and that's the revised job description that was on the agenda for this evening. We also have a Student Information System Manager, Angie Vaca, who is currently still serving in that position in technology. The third group of employees in the technology department were the Ed Tech team, which consisted of the cloud tech technicians and the project facilitators for technology. So when we merged together educational services and technology into one department, those project facilitators moved over under our director of professional development, who oversees all of the project facilitators, and the cloud technicians continue to be directly supervised by myself.
Okay, so what I'm concerned about is that we were creating all these, we were being very innovative with technology, quite honestly, when you were in that position. And I can pat you on the back. And I'm concerned that we are not spending especially as much time on, I think we need somebody that's not just involving education, that this is an area where we're focusing strictly on technology and education. And I think that especially given the circumstances with COVID, this is even a better example of why we need somebody in that position. And I think that that's what Linda's trying to say as well.
Yes.
Well, like I said,
So what I would like to do is for us to recommend that we look into creating a position, and if we have more than 2 or 3 votes, then it can be brought back to the board. Look into creating a position that will oversee that the technology, be a director of technology education, or what we used to have as the Chief Information and Innovation, because that's different than the actual breakdown of repairs or student service, our programs that we have as far as student services.
I can at least, I haven't heard from Mr. Griffith yet. Your thoughts, Mr. Griffith?
I would leave it up to the cabinet to decide if they need additional management positions. So if they wanted to come back, so I just think it's best left to them.
Well, as the third vote, I would, since I won't get to choose for the next time, it's one of those opportunities that COVID-19 has really changed the game a little bit on this one. And I think that a future board member that's going to sit up here may want to take a look and listen to this discussion as well. And so I will defer and say, yes, bring it back and have a discussion in January to see if we want to do something a little differently. But with that, there's the direction of at least bring it back for a discussion item.
If I could just ask for clarification. So with Mr. King retiring, that job description was on tonight, and so the plan is to fly that position and fill his position with a new person. Am I understanding correctly that that is the wishes of the board, that we still fill the position of the Computer Network Services Manager, and then in addition to that, bring back a discussion about a Director of Technology?
Yes. I don't know what Linda's, I think that the position that Chuck King had is a different position than what we're talking about, and I think that that still needs to be filled.
Was Chuck's position going to be eliminated when he retired?
No.
No,
Okay.
we're talking about Chuck King. His retirement created a vacancy. The job description was updated to make it more modern day and applicable to the needs of the district. Therefore, we're talking about replacing Chuck King's position. That's the only vacancy we have right now. Any addition outside of that organizational structure is going to potentially have a fiscal impact that we are not budgeted for. Therein lies our hesitation.
Right, because when we combined both departments, it was to save money, and basically the position that I think they're referring to is Dr. Kelly May's job. I mean, that's your job. Your job is the Director of Education and Technology. So am I understanding that they're talking about your job? Are they? Because that is,
not her
we
current job,
combined
because her
that.
current job is
You had that
Assistant
job.
Superintendent of Student Services, which is much different than what I mean, she oversees now that, but that's not her position now. I mean, she's the Assistant Superintendent. Her job is much different now, and her responsibility is much greater and different. Okay. That would be like micromanaging. I'm looking for someone underneath that she would direct, but that would be their job.
With that, then we might have to have a meeting to discuss a job requirements and have that as not as a quick fix, but as a general discussion item and say, this is what our needs are. Can one person do it? Do we need a second person to do this underneath Ms. Vollmer? And I think that's worth a discussion rather than a mandate to say thou shalt fill that position. So
thank you.
Right. I agree.
And just a reminder, we are budgeted for the current position that will be soon vacant, and the job description will allow us to move forward and fill the vacant position. That's within our budget structure. If we're considering adding something, that would need to work its way typically through the LCAP process with stakeholder input, because it will have a fiscal impact on the district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can just discuss it then. I mean, we're not making a decision right now, just to discuss it, so. Anyway, I just want to I know that we're getting close to the end. I just would like to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And however you spend it, if it's just with a few family members, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and have a blessed time with your families.
Thank you. You as well. I'm going to be with my 2 sons and their wives. So normally I have 28 people at my house. I'm only having 6, including my husband and myself and my 2 boys and their wives. households.
I just have one thing to add on this one. It's only because I got a nice email from a past board member, Mr. Duran, that as a swimming coach would like to see some pools heated right now, and I can understand that completely. Even though Mr. Duran several years ago made the Alcatraz swim, I can't imagine how much colder the water would be in our local pools, but I think that's one of those things that we might take a look to see if we can find something in our utility bills to be able to heat those pools for our swimmers.
Yeah.
Do we not heat our pools?
They weren't going to heat them until November 30th, but they need to be heated now. The kids need, I mean, there's no way you can swim
They
that.
started practicing.
Yeah,
They
so
start
I can-
practicing, so I'm assuming that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
We
Dr.
need-
Vollmer. The actual heating of the pools, I would defer to Mr. Aquino. I will say, with the guidelines for conditioning that exist, using the pool facilities, there are much more stringent guidelines that have to be followed above and beyond what our other athletes are doing in their small group cohort conditioning. So that's an additional consideration that would have to be taken into account.
Okay.
Good. Anything else? With that, I don't believe we need to reconvene in the closed session, so we will adjourn at 9:32. Thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Moss.
Gary.
Thank you very much. You
Bye,
know,
Gary.